When a worker has put in their hours and hopefully done a good job for the employer, you would expect them to pay the employee, and most do. Our employers in Washington State are competing for very good employees, and so they're mostly very timely in how they pay their employees, but a few bad actors have been not paying their employees in a timely manner or in the right amount. So House Bill 2333 highlights the problem that we do have. And if a worker notices that he or she is being shorted or is not being paid or the hours are not being recorded, then that person should be able to talk to the employer and say, hey, did you make a mistake? Would you please take a look at my paycheck and make sure that I'm being paid for the amount that's rightfully mine? The bill is to address if an employer threatens to either pull in E-Verify or other anti-immigrant threats or any other type of retaliation. This is to call out that this is not legal. This is actually illegal. They should be getting their 15-minute break every 4 hours of work. And actually, it's good for business because then they have well-rested and healthy employees. And forcing employees to clock in after they show up and have been on the floor or clock out first, then come back to the floor does not help the business. Oh, definitely. Please let me know because it has been heard in the House committee and it still needs to be moved out of committee. And I would love to either help you resolve any issues or if you have a success story as to how you were able to resolve your particular wage theft situation, because we want to hear both cooperative employers and employers who may not have been as cooperative, but success stories would be wonderful. In the modern age, you would think slavery is not an issue. However, what we find is that human trafficking, whether they are children, adults, males and females, this is happening. Human slavery is happening, and we call it human trafficking. And part of the way the employer supposedly has power over the employee or the person who is being enslaved is actual physical lock and key. They keep them under lock and key so that they cannot have freedom to rest or go see family or even worship. And so, but there are other ways of threatening their employees to essentially keep them enslaved. And that is threats that they will harm the employee or even their families, especially if they're overseas and they don't understand English as well. Or if they have immigration papers or visas that the employer hangs on to and does not give access to the employee. Yes, as recently as 2010, in Hawaii, a particular employer had imported 400 Thai nationals to work in Hawaii 5 years previous to that. And they were freed. They were discovered and freed in 2010 and led to their prosecution. So you can imagine if in Washington State, if anything like this, whether it's 1 or 400 employees, whether they are from another country or even from within USA, you can imagine someone without a driver's license or an ID card trying to rent an apartment on their own, or even travel to other states, or even to get on a plane, or even a train. You have to have an ID to travel. And so taking their ID away, whether it's a form of a passport or driver license or ID, is essentially enslaving them and tying them to that particular job. It will make holding and requiring passports to be held a criminal offense so that they can be so that we can look at prosecuting the bad actors. And as I stated before, there are plenty of great employers in Washington State. So this is not to be heavy-handed at all, but rather a message that actually Washington State is a great place to work. They can go onto the website, email me, call me, and even my cell phone number is on my website, or my LA can put you in direct touch with me. So please feel free to contact me anytime. Thank you.